He doesn't want to be late, that's why he stands up there.
I have a hell of a time getting out, so.
I don't fault you.
Okay, welcome to the June 17th and final Board of Selectmen's meeting. We turn to council starting July 1st. So, everybody rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening and welcome. We have no public hearings this evening. Any announcements from the board? Wayne, anything?
I have none.
David?
No, sir.
Yeah.
Yep, senior luncheon was today. It turned out pretty good. Usually we have about 35. We had about almost like 28 today, but it was still a good crowd. And served beans and hot dogs and brown bread. And the brown bread went really well. So our next one is, we're gonna skip July, we're gonna go to August 5th
Okay.
for our next one.
John, anything?
Book and plant sale over at the library, June 21st, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m.
All right, any additions or deletions to the agenda? We have two appointments, Deputy Town Clerk Kimberly Howard, whom you're gonna cover for,
I'll
right?
confirm the report.
And you're gonna cover that in your report?
Yep.
Okay, and we've welcomed Sheriff Bill King this evening. Talking about a little bit of the contract deputies. And we certainly, we certainly got whooped, with the Board of Selectmen, kind of a 5-to-1, vote. So, but it's encouraging to see that the, people continue to wanna have the contract evidence. Any questions for Sheriff King?
No, I was gonna let Matt go first. That's all right.
So, I guess you and I chatted the other day. Would you like me to go to the podium?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
If you could just fill us in what your take is on the contract, some of the ideas you and I chatted about the other day, the cruiser issues, the time issues, some of the things we've identified in the prior contract, and how can we just move forward and make things better?
Okay, I'm sorry, I thought this was your meeting, I thought I was gonna be getting questions, but, you know, our conversation the other day I thought was good, as they always are. He basically mentioned when you do hire a contract deputy, and you made a very good point, I have spoken to Greg about that person might have 10 years on and might have accrued a lot of PTO time. And I think Matt was very astute, he said, well, why do we have to acquire that PTO time? And I think that was a very, very good point. During our conversation, I said perhaps maybe what we need to do in the future is that, okay, from day one, you know, you do hire the deputy with all of the benefits, and perhaps from day one, whatever PTO they accrue from that time that he's in the contract, you'd be responsible for, and I think that's very fair. So other than that, you know, like I said, I did speak with Greg about some of the issues that we talked about. He said the cruiser's always an issue, and perhaps we can just do the FEMA rate. I forget what that is, but there's a FEMA rate for vehicles. We can do that.
Does that mean you own them and we just
Pay the mileage?
pay the mileage? Is that what
Yeah,
you-
basically, yes.
Yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
70 cents
Yeah.
a mile right now.
Yep. So, and, you know, the other, some of the other issues, I mean, I think we've talked about it ad nauseum, and I just want to remind the board that the contracts are between the commissioners and the towns, you know, with my concurrence. So, I mean, if there's really any substantial changes, you know, and I mentioned that to Greg, I said, Greg, I'm gonna suggest that they call you and go down and have a meeting, you know, if there's any substantial changes. But a couple years ago, we did say what we call the customization of contracts was getting kind of out of hand. I mean, Acton wanted something, Shapley wanted something, Leamington wanted something else, and we were trying to get a handle on it. But, I think you brought up some good points, and I can understand, I know you have the SRO type thought about a deputy, and the fact is that, when deputies are here, they do enhance our patrol. I didn't want to lose it, and I'm very pleased that the citizens of Waterboro saw that. It does add to, I think, quality of life in the town, so I'm very pleased that they did that. I don't think it's people are leaving. I've heard some numbers. I don't think people are out of town as much as perhaps one may think. But I do tell the sergeants not to have the contract deputies leave the towns unless it's a bona fide emergency, if it's something really serious, not to handle some simple calls. And I have heard that, and I've addressed it, where someone said, well, you've got Waterboro, and there's no and about it. When they're assigned to Waterboro, they should be staying there. And yes, we've had a couple of faux pas, we've admitted that, but believe me, the message from command staff is that the Waterboro contract is the Waterboro contract, and that's where they should be staying. You pay for 40 hours, and that's what they should be getting.
Thank you.
So, you just mentioned that the contract is between the board and the commissioners.
Correct.
What are the, and I don't mean to put you on the spot, but aren't the commissioners rejecting those contracts?
Are they rejecting them?
Right. I mean,
Are they in favor of them?
in their infamous wisdom, they would not rather have contracts.
Well,
But, and I don't mean to put you on the spot to
No,
answer for that, but.
I'll be very candid with you. I think it's divided, so it's a board is a funny thing. It's 5 people, and they all represent their own districts. Some of the commissioners have cop towns. People,
Yeah.
they have the Gold Ghost, so they don't really care about, law enforcement services in Waterboro or Alfred or any of these others. And some of the other commissioners have non-cop towns, and they're for it. So it's kind of an interesting dynamic. Justin Chanette, he has some cop towns and he has some non-cop towns, so he's kind of in the middle. But everybody sees that there's a basic fairness of people that have their own police department. They don't want to pay a full boat for that. So I think the contracts, as much as it is an administrative burden for, I think, the county manager, and somewhat with us and the command staff, I think this is a way that it sort of evens it out. Where people that want that enhanced service. Waterboro is a growing town. Someone told me that Waterboro is the largest town without its own police department. And I think Waterboro really has their own police department. I think that we're extremely responsive. It's in the center of everything. Even if the contract's not here, there's somebody in this area. So I just think we provide a great quality of life for this town. I did want to, if you don't mind, I'd like to approach the Diaz and just, I'm sure you've seen these, but this is the law pertaining to contracts. And I know Mr. Woodson said, well, we're paying twice. And this is the law that says that if we do have a contract, that it can't be borne by all the other towns that are assessed. No other towns in York County. And you can see that. And do you mind if I approach the Diaz?
Yeah.
So if we could just take one and just pass them on.
Yep, thank you.
I got a quick question for you. I just saw this where somebody said that, like, they mentioned Lebanon, because of course, we know Wallace Lebanon, how it is and has been for many, many years, that, when the state had it, when you guys were splitting up and they had it, they were only, if you call 911, we'll go, other than that, we're not going. I mean, can you really say that to a town? You know what I'm saying? If you call 911 for an emergency, we'll come, but other than that, we're not patrolling your town.
Somebody said that's what we do.
Somebody said that, because I just was throwing that out, because I never heard that before.
Yeah, no.
Can you really say to Lebanon, Sheriff, if you call 911, we'll come, but other than that, you're on your own?
No, we wouldn't say
No.
that, but I would like to speak, since you mentioned
Yeah.
that. Towns like Lebanon are resource strained.
Oh, God,
And
yes.
what concerns me is that towns, the Waterboros, the Shapleys, the Actons, the Arundels that are stepping up,
Yeah,
sometimes that when we're not in this town, if we're at an emergency call, because we gotta back up Lebanon.
right.
And it's painful for me, because not only are they using up a lot of our resources, but now they're affecting the customers that we do have.
Yeah,
So it's a challenge, and I tell people that, we can't do a lot. I mean, if there's a traffic detail, we come to a contract town. We don't try to, give them more services,
Yeah.
but it's a challenge, because
Yeah.
if somebody calls, we gotta go. And citizens, it's a needy town. People are constantly calling. I know I'm preaching to the choir to some member on the board, but
Yeah.
it's a very needy town.
yeah.
You mentioned about the SRO, and we've talked about that before, and we've had that question.
Yes.
Chairman Abbott had just mentioned a few minutes ago, because he and I both were at the 2025 graduation. I was very happy to see, because we both saw him actually, Deputy Cummer was there. That is something that I think this board has talked about before, is
Sure.
having that involvement from having that contract deputy for Waterboro participate, especially in our bigger events. And we've had recently the deputy here on some of the meeting nights. But the last several years, I think goes back to Deputy Sanborn when he was here.
Yeah.
And, I mean, he came in on days off to work those events and was visible and participated with those, the front of the parade. I think that meant a lot to the community, and he was engaged with that. But when I saw him that night too, and I don't know if it was overtime, I don't know if it was whatever it was, but it was good to see him there. That's something that we have not. And that's some of the things that the board has had questions about over the last several years.
Mhm.
Since I think we were at your office and we talked to you guys as well.
Sure.
But,
Well, you were a fire chief in your past life. I think you still may be. And certainly you have some firefighters that will be the first one to fill up the hose, clamp the truck, roll things, and get everything ready. You have some firefighters that will hang back. Deputy Sanborn is one of those firefighters that you want. You can probably operate it with, a couple of people. Again, we're contractually bound, and oftentimes, and it does seem that it happens a lot, and Chief and I chuckle about it, not chuckle in a bad way, but we say, Jesus, Waterboro's having something, are you gonna be there? I'm off. And we can't, because of the contractual obligation, say, no, you're gonna work that day. We can't arbitrarily change that time, which Waterboro Days comes up. It'd be great. And frankly, we asked those same questions. Why isn't the Waterboro guy here? But he was off that day, or on vacation, or what, for a host of other reasons. When they're here, they should be at these events. You're absolutely right. Arundel Days, Deputy Harmon was down at Arundel Days. They have the same type of thing as you have. He's right there. He was working that day. So it worked out great. But
We should be able to, even if we gotta call a month ahead, should be able to schedule these deputies that we have on the hours that we need them for these type of events.
yeah.
This ain't happening. And this is where my double taxation comes in, because a year ago, we had an election at the school, we needed 2 deputies.
Mhm.
We had to pay time and a half for that deputy, and then we get pictures of our deputy and our car sitting down the lineman. And it wasn't right. It wasn't right.
Can
Uh,
I
just
just,
ain't right. And that's double taxation. I don't care how you go about it, it's double taxation.
can I just ask, are we ever gonna be able to move on from that faux pas? It was a faux pas, okay? And the person responsible has accepted full responsibility, and I'm hoping we can move on. But
This goes on constantly though.
who's doing it constantly?
These events, if we need somebody, he's not working today. And on Monday or the week before, you're gonna set their schedule. And if we need somebody on Saturday, they need to work on Saturday.
Yeah, we can't change the.
Well, I think you can.
Okay,
And if we can't, maybe we don't need you. We just don't need you because we're only getting a few hours a week out of this service. I don't care how you figure it, it ain't there.
well, with all due respect, Mr. Woodson, the voters of Waterboro said you do need us.
But
And
as a
and-
board, we can tell you what we're gonna do and what we're not gonna do, and we do not have to sign that contract with you. I'll tell you that right up front. And we had that same discussion 2 years ago.
and that is completely your prerogative,
That's right.
but I can't change a schedule. You know, I mean, I can get the deputy to voluntarily change it, and we'll do that. We'll be more judicious to do that, but we cannot have somebody change their days off or their annual leave that they've already submitted or that they don't want to do that. And I can understand your frustration, but contractually, I can't do that.
But you're up to, you're willing to say that, hey, listen, can you do Friday instead of Monday this week? I mean,
We typically do
That
that.
is an offer.
yeah, good,
It's an option, but it's up to the deputy to make that
true,
decision.
yeah. Yeah. If I could just speak now, I mean, I want the deputies, I would advocate for more. And I think if we asked you, hey, can you get us 2 more? It'd be almost impossible right now, because the field of candidates is so few. I think you're still low on manpower anyways, right?
We've got 3 vacancies, but let me tell you something
Yeah.
about the York County Deputy, York County Sheriff's Office. I'm amazed every single day at the amount of work
Oh, yeah.
one deputy does. You know, and I put them up against any law
Yeah.
enforcement agency in the state of Maine.
They're a very
It's-
well-rounded individual when they,
They really, really are,
Yes, they
you know,
are.
and they see a lot.
yeah,
But, you know, your question is, yeah, we do have 3 vacancies, and, you know, we're working on a new contract right now.
Yeah.
There's a couple of stumbling blocks, but I'm certain that we're gonna get by those stumbling blocks, and hopefully we'll get that pay where it somewhat
Yeah,
needs to be.
the parity of pay, I mean, everybody's just jacking it up to suck people over and to their department, and
Well, I don't know how sustainable this is, frankly,
Yeah.
because I think, you know, I mean, I live in Saco, and they keep throwing money at people,
Mhm.
and there's still vacancies.
Yeah.
Money is not a motivator for long.
Yeah.
So I don't know where it's going to end, to speak to your point, sir.
yeah, yeah, I'd love to come back to you in June and say, can we get another one? You know, that's my point, I'd like to say.
Well, even if you said that, there's people that want to work, and they want Waterboro.
Mhm.
Waterboro is a great place to work, and, you know, the community is very responsive.
Yeah.
I mean, heck, if I put something out on Facebook looking for help, it's not unusual to get 30,000 views, you know,
Yeah.
shares, and that type of thing. It's just, that's what happens. And we solve it.
Yeah,
We solve it because of the citizens.
yeah,
The engagement is phenomenal.
right,
I do understand everybody's frustration though, you know, with, you know, you have a Waterboro Days and where's your contract guy? I got it, Matt, with, you know, he should be leading the parade. The Waterboro deputy should be leading the parade. Acton has an annual parade, and I hate to say this, but, you know, Sean's off and he's there. I'm up there and he's there. I said, what are you doing, Sean? I thought I was gonna lead the parade. He goes, no, this is my town. He wants to lead the parade.
Yeah.
So I said, I mean,
Yeah.
and then he
And
goes
it's
home.
nice to have something,
And then he goes home, he's just, he's one of those guys, and let's hope that, in the future, if you ever had to choose, maybe that should be one of the questions on the panel.
Yeah.
But there's a real, true ownership with some deputies.
Yeah, yeah. July 19th is our Old Home Days. One-day event, no parade,
You only have an Old Home Days on one day?
one day,
yeah.
yeah.
Wow.
And the main reason they aren't gonna have a parade is the cost of the fair.
The logistics of putting it together and the cost of having traffic control, and we only have limited funds for Old Home Days. And it's just one-day event. The biggest draw is Saturday night with the fireworks anyways. So I think I'm gonna ask you
It
guys.
keeps going up.
Yeah, and the cost of fireworks is, but anyways, we're still putting it on. And I think the committee was poised to ask you for 4 guys for that night, if you can fill it. But even 2 is a deterrent, if you need help, you call, right?
Yeah.
But we haven't had problems at the field at all. I know you guys have been there. Yeah, a lot of family time,
No, it's a great event.
yeah.
July 19th?
July 19th, Saturday, yeah.
We did meet just last week too.
Any other questions?
No,
So we need to reach out to the manager to have the conversation with the contract to get this teed up to talk about it for July 1.
Yes, yeah. Say that again.
We need to reach out to him to get the contract.
To Greg,
To
yes.
Greg.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I mean, if you wanna have a meeting, like you said, he's receptive to a meeting.
Yeah.
I mean, if we wanna, talk about what Mr. Woodson was talking about, I mean, there's always ways we can, I'm hoping that we can, again, we do try to get them, but I can understand the issue of, you have an event and you don't have your contract guy and you're paying extra money.
But the other thing that I have a little bit of a grind on is, we own 2 cars. The town of Waterboro owns 2 of your cars. We bought them, we paid for them. Both of them, one of them's going out of the county to get home. The other one is going right to the county line. But we're putting 40 or 50 miles on to get home. Those cars ought to be sitting right here in Waterboro and picked up so that they're used here in town, so that we can get a little more use out of those cars.
Yeah.
And once he signs out of Waterboro, he's still on board, so if he gets a call in Leamington or Cornish, he's on his way home, so that's overtime for him, so he's gonna take that call, and it's our car that's doing it every day that he works, so.
Well,
Maybe that's.
I can understand what you're
And
saying.
I'm hearing it, throughout the town, so.
Yeah, there's, again, you folks have a say in who gets hired, and perhaps you should be asking, where does the individual live? I've always thought that should be a consideration, when you hire somebody, just, the proximity, where do
And
they live?
I understand that probably that's the only place that one of them could find an apartment or a rent, and the other one has found a homestead in Baldwin, so, I can understand that, but the other thing is, it's our tax dollars that are, unknown tax dollars that are going out of town.
Well, I mean, as far as parking the vehicle here, that's one of the things about being a deputy. I mean, first of all, contractually, and I hate to keep saying that word, but contractually, everybody's assigned a vehicle.
Yeah, that's part of the contract.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the other thing is that it's a good feeling to know that I can call up Deputy Jones, well, Smith or Jones, I just use that word, we do have Jones, but I can call up Deputy Smith and say, hey,
Yeah.
you gotta get to Leamington, and he's in that vehicle, and he's ready to go.
And I understand that too, yeah. You go over to Standish, and those cars are parked in Standish, they go to work to the Standish garage and pick that vehicle up.
What?
That's not accurate.
No, what are you
You
talking?
better go over,
Cumberland County?
yep, They're in Standish Garage out there, and there's 5 to 6 cruisers sitting there.
That's not the Standish, we have one of those in Kennybunk that works, he brings it home. That's not it.
Yeah.
Well, there may be, actually, we have cars in our garage too, but they're being refitted or fixed or something like that.
Plus
But
spares.
every Cumberland County deputy has a take-home vehicle. I mean, actually, there's somebody that lives in Scarborough that I see the cruiser there all the time. So,
I see a Bitterford canine cruiser living up on Lake Arrowhead,
Right,
going
yeah.
back and forth. I mean, it's,
Well, because he-
that's the nature of the beast.
He-
You're gonna have a car.
He's a canine guy.
Yeah,
that's
right, yeah. So,
And the last thing, just about the vehicle, and we can move on from it, but does the school system for the 6 towns in RSU also pay for a cruiser
They do,
for each deputy?
they do,
And how often do they replace that cruiser for the contracts?
whenever they need it. You know, and we don't really have a set, we have a set buying plan, whether it's 6, 6, 7, and that's something that we figured was a really good plan. It keeps us with cruisers. During COVID, when they had supply chain issues, everybody was panicking except for us. We had enough vehicles. Our big delay sometimes is getting them outfitted and getting all the equipment to put it, because the Ford executives are very successful, not only because they developed Ford, but they change things just slightly so that the cages don't fit, or this thing doesn't fit.
Yes.
So now we have to keep buying new
Yeah.
stuff all the time. Yeah, I mean, what was the question? I kind of lost the answer.
Making sure that the 6 towns for the 2 RSO positions are paying for those
Yeah.
cruisers as well.
Yeah, and really, we just wait and see. I mean, sometimes, I mean, God, I think Dwayne Fay drove his car for, my God, he had one of the oldest cars in the fleet for a long time.
It was we're still driving it. The one we got that was far newer
Yeah.
looked like it came out of the ghetto.
It-
And we sold it because
Yeah.
it was so much work to be put into it that we couldn't use it. And that was our goal, was to try to use it for a couple of years, but it came right out of the Bronx. I mean,
Yeah.
minus the tires the wheels being stripped off from
We
it.
had CIA pick it up because we didn't dare drive it up to them.
I want to say, maybe in closing, that I listen with my, well, not anymore, I'm off for the summer, but when I was driving for the school district, that I had my little scanner on it, because there's something else to listen to besides the radio in the van. But I love hearing him out there. He's answering calls, he's backing people up, and Major Sanford doing the same thing. It's awesome to hear.
I try to keep them in the office, but they won't stay.
They're street guys.
There's a reason for that.
Yeah, exactly
I-
right.
I gotta say that our contract deputies do a heck of a job here in town. I mean, you can't say anything bad about them, so.
Yeah, they
I
do.
just wish that we could get a few more hours.
And I understand that, and it's a concern, and let me give that some thought, and let me also, perhaps when we meet with Greg, we can talk about those miles that people put on when they do live, you know, somewhere away from the town.
I thought you always had a policy. I know, well, I can only go back to when Mo was the sheriff, that you had to be in York County.
Oh, they are in York County.
Oh, I
But
thought,
he was talking about, you know,
Baldwin ain't.
well,
I don't care what you say, Baldwin is not York County.
but Baldwin, we do make some exceptions.
I understand
on-
that.
On occasion, especially when they're close.
Yeah,
Um,
might be just over the line, but it's
Well,
still
yeah.
yeah,
Oxford County.
all right.
Anybody else?
No, appreciate you guys coming, though.
Thank you guys,
Appreciate
thank you very much for having me,
Yep.
and let's keep the conversation up.
Yep.
No, definitely.
Okay.
Yes,
Thank you.
sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yep. Okay, we do have correspondence, financial reports, the York County Sheriff's reports, motor vehicle report for May, reports and staff initiatives, selectmen, boards, reports. Dwayne, anything?
I think the election went very, very well. They was a little late getting things counted, but they did a heck of a job, and I wanna congratulate all the workers that worked on that election, because I think it went very well.
I think Kim did a good job.
Up and coming.
Well, half the people she's trying to supervise are old enough to be her grandparents. And they are rather set in their ways, so I think she did a good job.
Yeah,
Anything else, Dwayne?
no,
David?
The Public Safety Committee was due to meet on Thursday, but because of scheduling, we're gonna continue that until the following Thursday, the 26th. And one of the topics that we're gonna be talking about is, the use of the Public Safety Committee, how we can improve on that going forward, and I'm sure we're gonna be discussing contractual issues with the Sheriff's Office.
Anything else, Dave?
No, sir.
Gary?
Had a meeting the other night with the Old Home Day Committee, and it's going very well. The Old Home Days Day is going to be July 19th, one-day event, it's a Saturday. Fireworks, tops off the night after, sometime after 9. It's nice to see we have 10 members in the committee now. It's the most I've seen since I've been a selectman, and they were commenting on the other night, that's the most I've seen in a long time. So the public interest is there, and it's nice to see they're very well organized, and with the help of Matt, purchasing some bikes that people donate money to, because that's a big draw for that day. And there's also a raffle going on this year, whereas you can buy pretty much like a sheet of tickets for $10. It's 25 tickets for $10. And it's very similar to if you go to the Festival of Trees, when you go to each site and you put your tickets in, the one you really want to get. And we're doing the same thing, it'll be inside the gymnasium. So hopefully that'll be a nice fundraiser. And the funds will be going to the firemen or fire people at the our own fire station as a donation for themselves or equipment or whatever they need to use it for. It's not gonna go to the town, it's gonna go to the they have association or?
We have a donation account.
Okay, that's what it's going to.
if they're gonna buy tickets, Gary, to do that,
Yeah.
get a hold of me, because I've got 2 or 3 cases of them.
Oh, they're already purchased.
Okay,
And you can do your tickets in the bags and you just leave your name and number on it. You don't have to be there to win. They'll call you afterwards. So it's very much like the Festival of Trees. It's not the same. All set.
Anything else, Gary?
Nope.
John? Nope. I am not gonna be available to attend the, planning board meeting tomorrow night. They have a public hearing, with, I think they're talking about the Steve Everett thing. So if anybody wants to come and represent the board, that would be good, so, town administrators report.
Okay, so information from Kim Howard from the election, you talked about a little bit, but 881 voters participated and voted, 169 were absentee, all budget articles did pass. And special thanks to all the election workers as well for helping out and working that. And just for FYI, we have 5,719 registered voters. Little Ospey Lake Association, just as you're aware, have been harvesting the bladder wort the past week and continuing this week. We went on another tour yesterday, tried to see them in action, but they picked up at 4 o'clock, I guess, so we missed out on that, but.
It was a nice tour of the lake though, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was great.
Very nice.
Yep. Public Works Garage updates. Sebago Tech has distributed the bids. They were sent out today. There'll be a pre-bid meeting on July 1st. Sebago Tech will receive bids on July 11th. And it doesn't really give us enough time to review those bids, but potentially the council could have a workshop on August 22nd. We can look at that as we get closer, to review the bids as well for input. If no objections, our 2013 ambulance, we're looking to move forward with disposing of it and selling it. We had a conversation with Greenwood. As you all know, that was the truck we kept a couple of years ago, or a year and a half ago when we got our other ambulance.
Is this the International?
Yes. It's not licensed currently as an ambulance because we don't have all the equipment for it, so every time we wanna use it, we have to relicense it and move all the equipment. And quite frankly, we have not used it enough as a backup because we don't have that equipment. And rather than having it sit in the garage, it's in the side garage outside. And we need the space and we're not using it to dispose of it, so.
What kind of monies can we get for something like that?
Our trade value initially from when we had the trade deal, it was someplace between 6 and 10,000. We're looking further outside of state now to see if there's any other vendors that would be interested in it. We're hoping 20 to 25. I can't guarantee that though, but, we're not using it. I've talked to Public Works, Jason doesn't think that would make a great service truck at this point for us, so I guess we need to move on from it. We were hopeful we could use it, but it's not working out, so. And I'll talk about the fire truck in a few minutes.
Okay, just want to extend the board's thanks to John for piloting the tour around the lake
Oh, yes.
last night, so, thank you.
Many thanks, Jim.
Yeah, thank you. How many more of those we have scheduled coming up, do you know, Chairman?
Once a week till it gets down to 50 degrees.
There we go.
New business. I see Kim is here. Do you have anything to report other than what Matt covered?
I think it was a great election. I don't really have anything else to report.
Any complaints from people?
No, everyone was great.
Good.
Yeah. I think it went really smooth, being my first election too, so.
A smaller one, which is good,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yep.
It was very steady pace too.
Yeah. Good.
It was great. So.
Okay, let's,
Any needs for another one? I mean, is there anything that you need for the next election? In November, I mean,
No, I don't think so. I mean, we'll have like 3 coming up, so November, March, and June, I'm pretty sure, right?
yeah.
Sounds right.
okay. Thanks, Kim. New business discussed to reappoint Matthew McBean to the Conservation Commission.
I'll make the motion to accept Matt Bean to the Conservation Commission.
I've got a comment before you go any further.
Well, can we put that in the discussion? I made the motion.
Yeah,
This we
go
second
ahead.
it.
Go ahead.
We'll second that so we can hear Wayne.
Yeah,
There you go.
go ahead, Dwayne.
I don't know, we've talked about this conservation committee. We haven't used them in 5 or 6 years. They've had a board, they've never met. I don't know that we need a conservation commission at this time, or a conservation committee. We haven't got members enough to hold a meeting. I've been the liaison on it since I come on the board 10 years ago, I guess.
So
And,
is he asking to be reappointed, or is it because his term is expiring and we're gonna re-up him?
He's asking to be reappointed, and he said he's going to look for other members, that's what his
Yep.
email said to
Okay.
Matt.
So on your-
He was looking, he's gonna look to see if anybody else will join, but I don't know, who knows?
and this
On your
was,
comment though, is that something that we could hold off on until July 1st when the new charter takes
I
effect?
believe so.
Because
Yeah, I
there's
think
some committees
well,
that.
that's my thought too.
Okay, all right, I
Yeah.
thought you made a
Alright.
motion for this evening.
No,
Okay.
I'm saying don't even do anything on it.
Should I rescind my motion?
You could do that,
Or we can table it.
or we could table it.
If you
Whatever-
table it, you
whatever
don't
way's
bring it
the best.
back up.
Move it to the
back
next,
I'll rescind my motion.
Okay. You rescind
Whoever
yours?
seconded,
What if I don't? Of course, yes.
then you gotta vote.
I think
on
we
it.
should
So
wait
let's,
until July 1st.
let's move it to, next agenda.
The other thing I would do is maybe have him come in and executive session and see where he wants to go with it. I mean, I think he was the only one on that board for almost 2 years.
Okay, we're not sure that this is the correct discussion vote on the referendum question, pumper truck. I think that's, we're really doing the resolution, right?
Correct, board order.
The pumper truck needs to have a signature so that we can order it.
Just that going
And
on, yeah.
I would make a motion that the town administrator and the chair of the board do whatever they need to do to get a contract or paperwork going to get this truck on its way. Because there's gonna be quite a price increase, and if this isn't signed tonight, this truck could cost us another 35 or 40,000 or even more, so.
And again, that's just
Just to get the ball
signing the
rolling.
referendum.
Just to get the ball rolling and get that
Something that
truck.
was already
We're
voted on.
voting on the resolution.
Correct. I'll second Dwayne's motion.
Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Okay.
And just to add one little bit to it for you. Based on the contract price, we dropped the price a little bit. Worked with the vendor, so voted price was just under 800,000. The price is at 729,618 on contract. However, we'll be responsible for any changes for the motor or tariff impacts as we move forward. But on good news, unless you object to this as well, initial trade value for the 2007 pumper that we were getting rid of, I'll enter into a contract with them, but it'll be due to Brindley Mountain Fire apparatus within 30 days of delivery of the new truck, and they will pay us $80,000. I was a bit surprised and pleasant to see that.
That's more money than we've ever got out of anything that we've ever sold for
Must be neat
firefighting
for 'em.
equipment,
But there,
so.
there's a high demand for that chassis out
Yep.
in the Alabama region, and
Why?
they want to market it. I have no idea.
Oh,
Little tiny towns with very little population,
yeah,
they can still put a little bit of money into that and get it
yeah.
so they can run it.
But we bought that truck for roughly 50-some thousand
Are you kidding me?
when we bought it.
Oh, my God.
And
But
get
that just
half
shows
of
the
the
price,
money back.
just shows the
Oh
price
my
difference of the
God.
trucks over the years. But
You got
to
a
see that,
money back.
that dollar back is pleasant, but it,
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah,
under new business, can we add C to, allow, you and the, town administrator to sell in good faith the old ambulance? Can we authorize you two to, can we have a conversation on that tonight?
well, we kind of missed additions and deletions to the agenda, so,
Put it on July 1st.
I would put it on July 1st.
Okay.
No old business, discuss vote to accept the minutes of the June 3rd meeting.
So moved.
I second it.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Okay, item 12, swearing in of new council members. And I think since we're ending the Board of Selectmen, I think it would be appropriate to swear in all members, right?
she has them for,
Right. You got that?
I got the papers.
With a smile.
Alright.
So if we would all stand up.
Can I say Dave? Hi, Dave.
Where you going?
There you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I need to read something? I thought you guys were reading it.
No.
Well, state your name.
Side Dwayne with-
I don't have
Your
one.
effect though.
I didn't have it.
I, David Chevette,
I, Jonathan Bell,
do swear that I will support
The Constitution of the United States and of this state, so long as I shall continue a citizen thereof, so help me God. I, Gary Whitwell, do swear that I will discharge to the best of my abilities the incumbent council member, the Constitution and laws of the state, so help me God.
All right, perfect.
I feel like I just
Okay.
got married.
Signed and dated.
What's today, the 17th?
17.
What is today? 17.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, let's do elections of the chair and the vice chair for FY '26.
I'll make a motion that we keep it the same with Dennis as the chair and Dwayne as the vice chair.
Second.
Any out of the nominations? Somebody would move that nominations cease,
Nomination cease, I'll make that movement.
okay? Second,
second.
all those in favor? Nominations, elections of the chair and vice chair, so Dennis Abbott would continue as chair, and the vice chair would be Dwayne Whitson. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Thank you. You all set with pending decisions?
Yep.
Week actions list?
When do we start? When do we sign the contract with the sheriff's office?
We need to draft that.
It would be,
Okay.
it would be.
It ain't gotta be signed right off.
Okay,
I mean, we can run without a contract. They
Right.
Yeah.
do it all the time, so.
yeah.
Week's action list, discussion of agenda items. Anybody want something on the agenda, let me know. Items needing signature, the authorization order, which I think everybody has signed, or maybe Dwayne. With that, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All
Second.
those in favor? Thank you. Good night.